Hey everyone, Al here. Before we begin tonight's special episode, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Diabolical Coffee. It's devilishly good coffee and diabolically awesome swag. There's a roast for all tastes. You can order whole bean, coarse, and standard grind, espresso. There's even a K-Cup option for single cup brewers. And right now you can use a promo code PRODUCESTAND for 20% off anything in the store. That's 20% off all coffee and merch. Thank you, Diabolical Coffee and Eric, for your support. Now, here's our chat with Blair Lamora.
While we are gathering virtually today, we acknowledge that each of us is on the traditional territory of many nations across Turtle Island.
We record in Toronto, the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples.
Today, it is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples.
We offer this acknowledgement as a stepping stone toward honoring the original occupants, a testimony to the oppression faced by Indigenous peoples, and our commitment to creating dialogues aimed at addressing such systemic injustice.
That fresh produce stand there, that's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
It's Monday, and that means we are once again hanging at the Produce Stand, a podcast covering everything in the universe. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are many other Letterkenny podcasts out there, but this one is officially on a roll with the female Shoresy cast members. I'm Al, your host, and joining me in the room, as always, is lovely Tanya. And online, we have Squirrely Matt. Victor is back in the country, but he was unavailable for to join us this evening. But joining us this week, she's a Canadian actor who's appeared on shows like Outlander, Paranormal Night Shift, and Alaska Daily, but we all love and know her as Ziigwan from Shoresy. Please join me making some noise for Blair Lamora.
Wondrous! Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Wait!
Oh my god!
I regret nothing!
Welcome to the Produce Stand, Blair.
Oh, hello. Thanks for having me, guys. What an intro.
We told you it was long.
We've learned to prompt everyone because so many people stepped on that aggressive intro. Yeah. So we're like, we just got to let it ride. We got to ride it out, right?
Ride the wave.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is amazing. We're on, like I was saying in the intro, we're on a bit of a roll now. We had Kaylani last Thursday. Now we have you. The first two female cast members on our podcast. So thank you for being the brave ones to start the ball rolling. Hopefully we can get more on.
Thanks for having me, guys. And yes, definitely more on in the future. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to start off by just asking, where are you speaking to us from today?
So I am actually in Vancouver right now. That's where I'm based at the moment.
Okay. But is that where you're from originally?
No. So I was actually born in Toronto, but I grew up in Brampton, Ontario.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Where all my family's from. Yeah.
B-Town.
Yes.
B-Town. Are you from B-Town?
I'm from Brampton. Yes, born and raised.
That's my homie. It's like we can smell each other out almost.
Like the Aussies and the New Zealanders on the May 2-4 episode of it.
Exactly.
Well, how cool would it be, Matt? Where did you go to high school?
Heart Lake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Blair?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I went to kind of like a newer high school. I went to St. Rock, which is like an art school. I was there and I specialized in theater and musical theater.
Nice.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started with that then, because that's a perfect segue into how you got into acting. You went to a theater school, so it was always acting. Is that always something you wanted to do?
Funny enough, no. Like I just knew I loved movies and music. I was always a creative kid, always like role playing or like putting on shows for the family. And honestly, when it was time to go to high school, my mom kind of gave me an ultimatum. She was like, you're either going to go to an all girls high school or you can go to this new art school that's popping up down the street. And I was like, I need to audition and get in immediately because I did not want to go to an all-girls school. And so I made it that I got in and I kind of was like, okay, cool. Let's just roll with this. I don't really know what it's about. It kind of took over all of my curriculum. So it was very much based in the arts. That was my first priority. And I kind of just grew to love it. Like I always loved music and movies. I felt that it was such a great outlet for me. And I realized that it was really therapeutic going through all of it. And I kind of just rode the wave a little bit. And then I was introduced to somebody who was in the industry at the time in film and television. And it kind of just opened my eyes to that and seeing it as something that maybe that's something I could do in my spare time. I never really thought of it as a career,
right?
I would say. Yeah. And it was like, I like it. It's just fun. You know, I love storytelling and connecting through stories. So let's just try it out. And I got an agent, and then I took a few film acting courses in the city, and then just started auditioning. That's and amazing. Then kind of, you know, one thing led to another, and now here I am.
Yeah. I'm curious with the high school. So I almost ended up in an art school. It didn't work out for me. But did you have to audition for the school?
Yeah.
And do you remember what your, like, did you have like a piece that you did, or what did you use as your audition part?
Yeah. So they were auditioning like 400 kids for the grade 9 class of like 30 students.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they had one script for, you know, the guys, one script for the girls. And the girls had to do Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka from the play. It's like this big bratty monologue of like 2.5 minutes. And, you know, so they just like kind of give it to you. They're like, that's what we want you to do. If you have vocal range, try to give us a scale. And, you know, we'll just talk to you a little bit and go from there. And that was pretty much the process of me getting in. So I got it like a week before the script. And then I kind of I'd never even seen the script before. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to act it the way I think it should be.
Right.
And and then I got a call the week later, a little email saying that they had accepted me into the program.
Wow.
Yeah. What a great piece to select for you guys to do though. Like as soon as you said Veruca Salt, I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. I can see where that shows some range and some like great piece. Yeah.
The ability to dive in and just kind of be crazy with it. But like the privilege, it's cool. It was layered. It was very layered for a 14-year-old to do. So it was fun.
So describe an art high school. I mean, I'm sure you have to take the 3 R's, right? Math, arithmetic, reading and writing. Reading, writing, arithmetic. I know they don't start with R.
Good thing they all started with R.
I know, but that's how they're known. Thanks, Matt. So how do you have to take those, and then on top of that are like your art credits?
Yeah. So like I take all the standard courses that are mandatory. So you have like your math, religion, English, all that kind of stuff, science. And then after that, you don't really get like electives. Normally, like each year you get more and more electives as like a regular student. But then with me, my electives were always art based and I didn't get to choose them. So it was either like musical theater, directing, writer's craft. Like there's a lot of different things that are just geared towards theater and acting at that point. Yeah. So it kind of was just like getting you ready for that. And there was different programs with me as well. I kind of did that. And there was the vocal program, instrumental, and we all kind of sometimes swapped and we were able to like dive in a little bit, feel out where we wanted to go. So they gave us like a really good space to try to like creatively figure out where we were, like where we wanted to go and kind of like go from there.
And then by senior year, you kind of find the lane that you want to stick to, whether it's theater or music, or do you?
Yeah, like you can't really switch too much. There was the odd case where there was like maybe 1 or 2 people that switched from like a music program to a vocal program or, you know, things like that. But very rarely, like they kind of really stuck to it, but they tried to like integrate it to get everybody, I guess, a little bit more well-rounded with all the arts.
Now you keep on bringing up music. Was it theater or was it music that you got into then when you were in that school?
I was in theater in school, but I hung out a lot with the music kids because like at home, like I was playing guitar and singing and songwriting and doing all that kind of stuff. Okay. So like that was my vibe, like as my personality, I really liked that. Sure. And I liked all my theater friends and, you know, we had obviously like all that common interest, but I just always liked music in that sense where I felt like a deeper connection. But I've grown, I think as I've grown, I've definitely become very attached to acting because of the healing that I find that comes with it through the storytelling and the connections you make with people through these stories.
Right.
So,
so you've got some vocal chops then too, don't you?
I could do a little number.
Can we ask you to, or is that? I'm just kidding. I won't put you on the spot there. But so that's interesting. So is music then something that you just do as a hobby now, or are you like songwriting on the side?
I would say it's more of a personal hobby at the moment. I mean, I was dating a musician for a really long time, and that kind of encouraged me to get into the studio and try some stuff out and really like live with it. And I loved that. But I think, it's something that's more leisurely for me right now. Like, I don't know if I would ever put something out unless I felt extremely passionate. Like there was something that I needed to say and was feeling very connected to it. But for right now, it's just like when I'm with friends or if I'm, you know, at home, just wanting to be in the energy of that. It's kind of like a personal.
What's your musical genre that you like?
Oh, like I would say it honestly mixes between like rock, alternative, R&B kind of, which is like a weird mix, like hip hop, R&B, but like those are my core ones that I constantly am just going around. Like I was brought up on a lot of like Evanescence, Def Leppard.
Oh, nice.
Like, you know, like all these like really cool, I want to say guitar and like emotional, like heavy type of bands that like.
No wonder Harlan no wonder Harlan liked hanging out with the girls instead of the guys up in Sudbury, because you guys were jamming.
It's all making sense now.
You guys were just jamming.
Yeah, the first season, like Harlan just whipped out his guitar and we were just like singing and vibing in his hotel room, and it's just like fun when you meet people that you know have those same type of energy and flow and like love for something. That's very rare. So it's nice to kind of connect with all of that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
Can you remember your first time on stage where you got the bug?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say honestly, like I had this, it was in grade, I think it was in grade 11. I had just gotten the lead of a role in my class theater production that we showed like pretty much the whole school through several runs.
Right.
And it was called Miss Beth. So it's pretty much just a play on Macbeth, but just changed. So it's like modern day high schoolers and it's a cheerleading squad. So like I was playing Beth, who is like Macbeth, and like you see the demise through like this cheer team and all this kind of stuff. So it was like fun to go through this whole spiral more or less. And then like as I was on stage, like there is this scene where like I have to get into the zone and it's towards the end. So I'm like cracking my fingers. I cracked my neck on both sides and like it just like went through like the auditorium and everybody was like, like, you know, like just kind of like not like so grossed out and so like in shock of this transformation. And I felt so good doing it. And as like a release, and I was like, oh, like this is kind of fun, like just getting into it. So I think that would be like my first memorable moment on stage where I was like, I think I'm digging this.
When that reaction just fires you, you're like, oh, that's what I want. You need more of it.
Yeah, like that's the thing about theater that I loved so much is like that instant gratification and that feeling of the audience responding to exactly what you're doing in real time. You know, like if the joke lands, they'll laugh. If it doesn't, you move forward. You just keep going, you know? But it's really fun. So that was my moment, I think, for sure.
How do you feel then doing more of the TV stuff then now? Like, do you feel that longing or that desire to go back to theater, or are you doing theater in your where you are now?
I think about theater every now and then. I won't lie. I mean, like I mean, I have family in New York, so I used to go see a lot of like Broadway shows and do that kind of stuff. And just the energy is what I love. And I think there is part of me that maybe one day will go back to it. I think maybe later on in my career, once I've checked off a few goals of mine that I have for film. But it is something that I think eventually I would, because my heart just started there. And it feels like a little safe space. You have your little family, the stage is yours, you know, it's a great play. So I love that eventually, I think.
Cool. So in 2020, you are on a show called Paranormal Night Shift. Is this your first acting job?
That was my first acting job full on. That was not commercial. And
so you did a bunch of commercials first.
Yeah, I did a few commercials, like campaigns here and there, but Paranormal Night Shift was the first one that I booked to be on set as like, I guess it was like a guest star role. And it was really fun because I'm somebody who, when I like to watch stuff, I love horror. I love drama. I love gore. Like that is my thing. And with and with Paranormal Night Shift, it was great because like I played a dead maid. So what ended up happening was I had FX makeup everywhere. I was slashed. I was supposed to be dead, covered in paint. Like it was like this crazy thing. And it was fun. And I was like, this is it. Like this is living the dream. Like, so that was great. Yeah.
You're like looking in the mirror going, I made it.
I know. I'm like, I've never looked more beautiful. Like this is insane. Like, it was great. It was totally fun.
So that's cool. So you're a horror fan, and your first gig, you book a ghost. You're a ghost. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So hold on. Let's not leave the horror side. So what like are some of your favorite horror movies then? Like what are you drawn to when you think of horror? Because there's a wide range of horror as well.
Totally. Oh my God. Horror. There's so much to it. There's so many styles of horror.
Yeah.
Like for me, ones that stand out because these are ones that I just genuinely like love. One of the first ones is Blair Witch. I just feel like that is just such a classic. And then I like Sinister is actually a really interesting one for me, just because I always find it interesting when the evil prevails, and there's no way around that. So like that, or Hereditary is a really fun one too. That's a little bit more modern, but like
I've always heard. I haven't watched Hereditary, but I've heard crazy things about that one.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I hear it's really fucked up though.
When I say like, if I could do a movie like that, I would be done. I'd be done with acting, because like that's my ultimate
That's your
goal.
pinnacle?
Like
Wow.
Toni Collette, yeah, she did amazing. The writing is amazing. Ari Aster, the directing, I could gush about that movie.
Okay.
It's phenomenal.
Well, you are, so that's great. And we've got
Yeah.
we got a bunch of listeners who are big horror fans, so I think they're going to love this part of your interview. That's amazing. It looks like your next job was 2022 Outlander.
Yes.
Talk about that one for a bit. What's that about?
Yeah. So I actually, that was my first really big official guest star role, I would say. And I auditioned for it, and I auditioned for a different role initially, and I didn't end up getting that one. They tried it a different way, and it wasn't working for me. And so they came back maybe a month later, and they were like, hey, I know the first one didn't work, but we have this and we think you would do really well. How do you feel about it? And I was just in shock that they even thought of me. And I was like, oh, frick yeah, I'm down to do this. Let's go ahead. And they kind of it got the ball rolling immediately. Next month, I was in Scotland. And that was in the height of COVID.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was in the height of COVID. So like I had to go through a lot of quarantine. I quarantined in London for 2 weeks. And then I jumped to Glasgow and I quarantined there for another 3 days.
Jeez.
And then I worked for 2 weeks. And then I went back afterwards. So it was kind of just like a big whirlwind, but it was so beautiful. Like every moment of it. Yeah.
So your second job, and they fly to Scotland. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Cool.
That is so exciting.
Too bad. Yeah. It's too bad everything was so locked down. You probably couldn't really enjoy it as much as you would have.
Yes and no. Like that's the interesting thing. Like, so when I went to London, I was in quarantine for 2 weeks, but the way it worked was I had 3 COVID tests that needed to be done before I went to Scotland to fly there. And if I had 2 tests that were done within those 2 weeks that came back negative, regardless of having my third one, I could go and walk about London because I had no COVID. So by the time I had my second test, I had 2 days left in London. So they were like, you're negative, you can actually roam now. So me and then my friend that I was shooting with, we took advantage. So we went into the city, saw Buckingham Palace, walked around.
Did all the touristy stuff. Yeah.
Did
was that your first time there?
Yeah,
oh,
it was.
Wow.
And it was great because it wasn't raining. It was actually sunny, but it was like, which you would think the opposite, but like it was sunny and it was beautiful. Like it was just like meant to be. The food was great. The people were so nice. Like I had a great time. And then, I flew over to Scotland. And then in my downtime from shooting, I was able to roam around, and I was right downtown Glasgow. So I was just like roaming around, and everything was pretty like set up with their COVID measures. And like we were still, being cautious because we had a job to do and we were there for a particular reason. But like we still had options, which was kind of nice. So I didn't see it to the extent that I would have, but like the fact that I was there and was able to roam at least a little bit, I was grateful. It was so
what a
amazing.
wicked experience. And I love that you called out that it didn't rain in London, but now you live in the West Coast, where doesn't it basically rain all the time where you are?
Pretty much like 80% of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I've only been to Vancouver once, and the 3 days I spent there, they were sunny days. So maybe I got lucky.
You lucked out. Vancouver, when it is sunny, it's so beautiful. It's a completely different world.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right. And then 2023 Alaska Daily. Did you get to meet Hilary Swank?
Indeed, I did.
What was that like?
She is so sweet. Like she is so nice, and she is so easy to work with in a sense where she makes everybody feel so comfortable. She, she's telling some jokes in between, she's really accommodating and really sweet. Like I have nothing but great things to say. My scene was with Hilary and with Grace Dove and Ziigwan Fairbrother. And it was a really fun time because like, just to be a part of like something where the story being told also is really important. It's a very emotional set, but it was very also comforting and caring. And I had a great time being with everybody and meeting with them. I was only there for a little bit. I was like a little guest star role, but it was really nice nonetheless. And I was like, I loved it. I played a mom for the first time. So
Really?
that was pretty cool. Yeah. I had like a dummy baby that looked like it would haunt everybody in their nightmares. And then I had like a real baby that I would do for the close shots. So
you kind of tapped into your horror side a little bit there with little dummy baby, right?
Totally. Yeah. Like, and it's funny because with the dummy baby, I was like perching it everywhere throughout the day, like in these corners. So like people would turn and they're like, oh, like, because it actually was terrifying. So it was great.
Was that actually shot up in Alaska? Is that you got to go to Alaska to do that?
The movie Magic, man. It was a lot of it was all over the place.
Oh,
like
okay.
in BC, they went to I think Yellowknife a few times.
All right.
So it was kind of everywhere. I shot my scene particularly in Surrey.
Okay.
In Surrey, BC.
Very nice. All right. So we're going to move on to, what everyone's here to talk about or wants to hear us talk about, and that's Shoresy.
Dun, dun, dun.
How do you get involved with Shoresy?
How did I get involved with Shoresy? I auditioned for it. And funny enough, I heard about the auditioning process of it while I was in Scotland shooting Outlander.
Oh, wow.
I had somebody there because I played a Cherokee woman. And so there was quite a few Indigenous cast there because they were working with a lot of different people. Mm-hmm. And somebody that I know was like, oh, I heard that they're starting to shoot a spinoff of Letterkenny and they're looking for, 2 Native kids and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that would be really cool. Cause like my dad and my brother love Letterkenny. Like they watch that religiously. So I was like, oh, I know that show. Like that would be really cool to get it. When it's with the hockey boys, I was like, oh God, because my family's a huge hockey family.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, oh,
so you are the opposite of Kaylani because she couldn't care less about hockey.
Yeah, like we're the opposite in that sense. Yeah, like I grew up in hockey arenas. Like my brothers played rep hockey. We were constantly going around. Like I remember just forever in a coat with a book in hand, waiting for practices and stuff.
Right.
Like, and so with the show, I heard about it and I was like, that'd be interesting if that came my way. And then a week later, when I got back, I had got an audition for it. And it was a split audition for like Meeg and Ziig. Mm-hmm. So they gave us the script and we just read for both in the scene. And I did my audition, sent it in and hoped for the best. Heard nothing for like maybe 4 months. And then I got a call in October and they were like, hey, how are you feeling? Do you remember auditioning for this? Like, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, like I was
hell
like,
yeah.
I'm down. And it was funny because it was happening as I was signing my lease to move to Vancouver because I was still in Brampton at the time. So it's like, yeah, I could be back in a week to do that for sure. As I'm like mid-move, I was like, that's great. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you remember who gave you the call? Was it Kara?
It was actually my agent.
Oh,
my agent at the time gave me the call. She was like, hey, I know you're moving, but do you want to do the show in Sudbury? Yeah, you have to come back next week. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
I never really asked the question, why the move? Was it to get closer to all the action in terms of all the TV shows and stuff out there? Or was it just like a lifestyle change? What did you? That's a good question.
A mix of it all, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I was in a position in my life where I could leap anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to move. I was changing my agency. I was revving up a new portfolio for myself, like really trying to get the ball rolling. And I was like, I'm very much somebody who likes to shake things up completely. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to move across the country. So I did. I had my agent that I really wanted and they were out here. And I told myself, if I got the agent that I truly wanted, then I'll start looking for a place. 2 days later, I got the agent I wanted. And I was like, okay, so now I'll look for a place. 2 days later, a place came available that was in my price range. Got that. Wow. And then I just kind of like steamrolled that way. Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess that's where we're going. Like, I don't normally have like a plan. I kind of just feel things out and what makes sense in the moment and trust that it's going to work for me.
And then you get your first, well, not your first acting job, but you get a dream acting job and it brings you back to Ontario.
Right? Isn't that funny? I'm like, go figure. I got to move away from home to get a job at home. Like, that's just how it works, apparently.
Amazing. I mean, you kind of already answered the question, like whether you knew about Letterkenny beforehand. You said your dad and your brother were big fans, but what about you? Like, how aware were you of the show?
I liked it. I thought it was funny. I mean, the humor that's my family humor. I feel like my brothers talk like that. Like it's such an Ontario show, like if you're from Ontario, a lot of people know it and it's very true to the culture. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I knew what I was getting into right away. It was a fun time and I was very stoked.
Yeah. So when you told your dad, I got a job and it's on Shoresy, how did he react?
He was in shock. Like
Right.
I thought I had to double check he was still on the phone. I was like, are you still there?
Yeah.
And he was like, are they going to show Shoresy? Are they going to? He just started
That's
going
right,
off on
yeah.
all these
Ask the questions.
And I was like,
Those are all the questions. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know yet. We'll let you know.
That's amazing because it's funny. I was going to ask that next. Like, if you were a fan and then your family were fans of Letterkenny, that was our number one question. Like, how are they going to show them, and how are they going to create a story around the guy who's just a chirping asshole and so I'm sure those conversations happen as well, and then you get to see the script and know what's going on.
Well, that's a good point. A good thing you moved out to Vancouver when you did, because I'm sure if you'd received those scripts at home, there's no way in hell you would have kept them from your dad or your brothers.
It would not have been safe. I would be on guard. They'd probably have my laptop trying to figure out the password, I was in a safe zone.
Because we were all wondering, we were all asking those questions. It was like, what are they going to do? How is this going to work? A whole show centered around this one guy that no one knows anything about.
Yeah.
But they did it.
They've done it so well.
Mm-hmm.
They've done
so well. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, so talk about, Kaylani mentioned the story of, how you and her were in the same room when you met Jared and Jacob, because you moved out there and you surprised them by being on the same call. So that was kind of fun. Your first time though, meeting in person, would that have been in Sudbury when you guys all came to set?
Yeah, the first time I met Jared and Jacob and pretty much like a lot of people was in Sudbury. Like we had a bit of a cast read of one of the bigger scenes, like the Duotang scene in episode 2. We kind of all sat down with each other for the first time, said hi, got comfortable, and then just, threw it out there. And we were all very collaborative and open to figuring out where we were going. And, it was just you could tell it was going to be a good environment because everybody is so down to just lift each other up and make it the best that it can be. So.
All right. That's a very important question then. So did you know what a duotang was before you, when you saw the script, you're like, what the hell's a duotang?
Oh,
there was a lot of controversy on our show with that.
Depends on your age, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I knew what a duotang was because when I was a kid, I used to fight them all the time when I had to be in school and add pages in.
Yeah.
I would always cut my fingers on the little
on
prongs.
Yeah.
So like I knew right away.
You'd be surprised. You'd be shocked to hear how many U.S.
Americans didn't know what
the Americans did not know what it was. It was like, what the hell's a duotang?
There was some very active dialogue around what the hell a duotang was.
Yeah, they got to get on our level.
They're like, is that a Canadian thing? Like, what is that?
That's so good. So what was I did this with Kaylani as well, but I liked how it went. So talk about the dynamic of what she referred to as the trio. So you, Nat, and Zig, and Mig. So the three of you, or again, obviously on a personal level and on the characters within the show. What were the three of you like, and how did it work on scene and off scene?
Yeah, like it's funny because I feel like our characters really do mirror who we are in real life and our dynamic, which is pretty hilarious. Like obviously not as heightened, but like they're definitely there. And I feel like even when we go out as our trio, it's very much like me, Ziig, and Nat going out. Yeah. Like it's quite funny. And I think we all have a great relationship with one another. Like we just kind of clicked in the first season. We knew exactly who we were to one another, what we were to the team. And we needed to make sure that like our unit is strong because there was a reason for, us three women coming together and doing this and in a mix of all of these men, so that creates a different bond entirely as well. And it's so nice to have them as support through all of this as well. So it's like, it's been a really great journey with both of them in this, honestly. Yeah. I'm happy we all have each other's backs in that sense.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, the female empowerment on Letterkenny and even Shoresy is just mind blowing. So, I mean, that must resonate pretty well with yourself as well to be a part of something like that, knowing that again, both shows are right or wrong, absolutely run by women. Right?
Yeah, definitely. They're the backbones in a lot of these, and it's really fun to be that when it seems like it's so male centric, so it's really nice to be a part of that and to feel comfortable and safe and strong all at the same time within this environment. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Now, were you given a character Bible for Ziig, or just did you have to kind of take the script and extrapolate what your character is from the script? Like, did they give you like some background?
There was like a little bit of backgrounds. Like I knew that, she was a little bit more of the aggressive sister, a little bit more of a hothead. The key points about her, but nothing really heavy. And, so like one conversation that I remember having with Jared and Jacob when I was doing that Zoom with Kaylani in her apartment was trying to figure out like who Zeke is romantically, because in the scripts, the first versions of the scripts, it was kind of flipping between her being a lesbian or her being bisexual or, trying to figure out what suits it best. Yeah. And I kind of made the decision that I wanted her to be bisexual because I myself am bisexual. And I feel like there's also just a lot more room to like explore that I think would be really fun. And so there were things to build, especially when it came to hair, makeup, wardrobe. Like a lot of that is a collaborative process. A second season, more so, I want to say I have a little bit more grip on her and she's very much me a little bit more. We're very much meshed in the second season, which I really love. And we're growing more and more as we go along and it's really beautiful. So, I mean, it's a collaborative process all around for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. With the collaboration, I mean, you mentioned sort of the look and wear. Was there a lot of even collaboration with, I know Ginger does the costume design, is there any like, did you have say in any of that or, what was your take on the look of Zeke as well?
Yeah, like in the first season I can talk to me and Ginge. It was really nice because she kind of came with like a mood board style, Pinterest style board of like what she imagined Zeke to look like. And then I kind of had a board, actually funny enough too, where I was like, I think these kind of work with this too. And we kind of just were able to mend something, and then when we get into the fittings, when you're in Sudbury, that's when you really get to see like what feels like the character and what we're trying to do. So like we really built it together. And then this season, same thing. She came back to me with a different mood board. I had a different mood board. We adjusted it accordingly. And like, it just felt right. And that's when it should, you're both putting in an effort for something that you both care for and, are passionate about. And when it works, it feels great. And she is amazing at what she does. So
I love that. I love that it truly sounds collaborative. Not like, hey, you show up, here's what you're wearing it, which I'm sure there's still some of that, but like you have an active say in what you're comfortable with, which I think would probably bring out the better version of your portrayal as well.
That's just it. Exactly. Right. Like you want to be able to be, even though I'm acting as a different character, I would like to still be attached in it somehow to like feel it in my body, if that makes sense. And like Jared does this beautiful thing where like some of the cast that has come on, they're playing themselves. But like for us, for example, like where we're taking on a character, the more he's gotten to know us, the more he incorporates some attributes of us into these new characters, which is really nice. And I think you'll see a lot more of in season 2. So it's again, collaborative. It's beautiful.
Do you look through the script then before you did the mood board? Like, do you get a feel for what the season is before you go, okay, this is what I'm kind of feeling off of this?
Yeah. So like, I'll get the script maybe like 2-3 weeks before shoot-ish, like a month before, that kind of range. Yeah. I'll read through it, kind of get a feel for what's going on, how I'm feeling with the character. And then like shortly after, the week later, that's when, hair and makeup and wardrobe start coming in and saying, hey, like, so these are our ideas. Everybody kind of has a generic look and then pulls and figures out from there. And so I kind of just have my vibes and how I see it playing out. And then they have theirs, we bring it together.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's so much, there's so much magic. Like we were in Sudbury and we were able to go and see the trailers and makeup and hair and Ginger and the wardrobe trailer, and just so much that goes behind the scenes that goes on that you just don't even, and even actually watching some of the takes and, doing shoot after shoot after shoot until it's perfect. It's just like, it's so time consuming and so just down to such little details that, as a viewer just watching the show, you don't see all of that goes behind it. It's so magical.
It's the little things, and it takes a village, truly. Yeah. It's like, when you see the end product, you don't really realize how much goes into it, down to like if we're talking wardrobe, like I have these little pins that Ziig wears that I don't know if people see because they're like kind of on my collar, but like they mean a lot to me and my character. It's these little things that, you know, really make a big difference, especially for us. And, you know, for the viewers that do pay attention to, you know, the little details, the stands that like love to capture all the little things. Like, so if it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's beautiful. It's the dedication to the art.
Do you have those stories then for what those pins, like you were just saying on your call, do you write that story kind of in your mind of, okay, she would have got this on this, like this time frame, and it would have meant this, or came from somebody? Like, do you write kind of that idea in your head?
I do with some pieces for sure. Like I have like a particular ring that Ziig wears called Deadly. And it just sits on my hand, and it's something that I think is so cool for her, because I feel like that was her kind of like promise to herself that she's going to be strong in this hockey world with like all these men, and like really like be to herself and like strong in her power. Or like I have a little blueberry pin that sits on one of my bomber jackets, and it's kind of me like subtly supporting the boys, because like I don't want them to know that I like them that much, but I like them, you know. So it's kind of like those little things. Like I build just a little bit of attachment to it to make it real.
I love it.
So on that, let me shift back to the boys then. So, and I feel like I can get a very different answer this week.
Oh boy.
Because you've already mentioned that you grew up around the hockey world, right? That was part of your fiber growing up. So when you showed up on set and it's Jock Central everywhere you look with these guys, were you at home in this space, or what was the mentality when you showed up and there's TR and there's Dolo and Max Buffard and they're all just hanging out?
Yeah. So I walk in, because like the first week we also shot in the arena, right? So it was like you're diving right in. So you walk into the arena, it's cold, the Zamboni's there. I'm like, oh, and I'm texting my mom. I'm like, hey, guess where I am? I feel like I'm 12 years old again, walking around an arena. It smells like jockstrap. Like I can't. It was just like a funny kind of like weird experience, deja vu.
Come full circle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I feel like I prepped for this my whole life somehow. Like, so it was just a good time.
Yeah, just like you moved to Vancouver, you had to move to Vancouver to be brought back to Ontario. You had to become an actress in order to be brought back to the hockey arena.
Exactly.
You can't get away from it.
No, the hockey boys, they're here to stay apparently. Yeah. So.
You mentioned season 2, and we're not going to, don't worry, we won't ask you about any particulars of season 2, but interested to know the difference between shooting season 1 and 2, because 1, you guys were smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. 2, I mean, we arrived there as you guys left, so we felt how open and stuff things were. So, what was the biggest difference for you anyway between those seasons?
In regards to like COVID and stuff, like just being able to go out and actually see Sudbury.
Right.
Like, it was funny because I'd been there through 3 kind of stages of COVID in Sudbury. When we first shot the first season, we were completely locked down. We weren't really allowed to go out anywhere. You had to stay in the pack, which rightfully so, because, you know, it was just crazy at the time. But then I went back pretty much like 5 months later, because I shot a different movie there and things had opened up a little bit more. So I was able to like go around and see some stuff. But then this time it felt like a blast. I was able to like fully embrace Sudbury for what it was, and like go party at Pepe's and go shoot some pool at Peddlers, you know, do all that kind of stuff, which is fun. You know, like I'm a girl that like, I love a good dive bar. I'm down for some pool. Like, let's just have a good easygoing night, you know, and everybody's like that too. And that's what makes Sudbury fun, because I think that's just the energy of being with one another there. You know, it's a really cool, connected little city in that sense. Their downtown core, there's always something to do.
Yeah. What's the name of the bar? We closed out twice. It was Station Station
84.
Oh, Station 88, 84.
Oh man, what a gem that place is. Eh?
Yeah, we closed that one out too a few times. That's a great place. What do you mean? Beer and board games?
Oh my God. Like we walked in, I'm like, I kept describing it as like my buddy's basement ran into a yard sale, but I loved it. I'm like, I'm home.
Exactly. It feels comfy, cozy. The TV's playing. They've got classic rock in the corner. It was amazing.
We had an epic game of, what was it, Trivial Pursuit with Harlan?
With Harlan.
He loved it. He loved his Trivial Pursuit.
Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
That's
But I think
fun-
Harlan was more mad at the Trivial Pursuit because I don't think he understood half of the questions because the board game was made like 20 years before he was born.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He
Sounds
just
like
like
a-
asking the questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
like, is
just-
this really a thing?
doing his best Alex Trebek. All right, let's move on to our listener questions. We told people that you were visiting us today, and they got all excited and sent us a bunch of messages. I'm going to start here. This isn't a question, but it is a message that I got on Instagram. Blair exudes talent, humbleness, and willingness to succeed that makes her a positive force you want to be around. Proud to call her a friend. And that's from someone named Patrick Plywood McNeil. I don't know.
Yeah, Pat. Oh, he's so sweet. Yeah, he works on Shoresy with us.
Oh yeah. We've had him on the podcast, so we know him very well.
Yeah.
You know him well. He's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love that guy.
Matt, did you have any?
Yeah, I had a couple others. Reached out to a few friends to see if anyone wanted to say something. So we got Mr. Max Buffard wanted to say what's up, and he misses the gang so much. So obviously can't wait to connect sometime soon again.
Oh, that's
Andrew Antonin, he's super excited and can't wait to see you next month at PEI. What's that all about?
Oh, PEI.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So we're going to PEI. So Andrew actually has like this organization that he goes to reserves, and he talks to the children about being open to creative outlets or sport outlets, trying to like expand them in that sense and, give them the inspiration to maybe dive into things that they never thought of before. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going with him to PEI at the end of July, and I'm going to go talk about acting and like my creative processes and things like that to kind of just open it up to them and hopefully inspire to do more with their future and like see that there's more than what's just in front of them.
That's amazing.
So,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Well, good luck. Have you ever been out east?
I have actually. My dad was born in Halifax, so I've been to Halifax. But that is the most east that I've been. So it's going to be my first time in PEI.
Mm-hmm.
Well, enjoy. It's lovely. We have a lot in common. I'm from Brampton, and my entire family is from Nova Scotia. So
okay. Hey.
we have that connection. I'll take it.
Totally.
And I got one more for you. I mean, aside from sending nothing but love, Dolo has a question for you.
Okay.
And he says, ask her if she'd rather be left in space for 30 years or frozen for 30 years and then come back.
So I
don't know. I didn't write it. This came from him.
You know why this is an insane question? Because we had a conversation one night, me, him, and Jacob, who plays Fish, about he heard a story that there was a wolf that was frozen 30 years ago that was found in Siberia. And when they found the wolf, they, I guess, defrosted it. I don't know the proper word, but they unfrosted it and it came back to life.
What?
Okay. This is the story that I was told.
Okay.
All right. Just for clarification.
I feel like that is
So who's
possible.
telling? Is it Dolo telling or Jacob telling?
Yeah.
That was Jacob.
It makes a whole lot of sense that it was Jacob because we've met
Yes.
Jacob and we know we can't wait to have him
the
on.
same. Like this probably came from Jacob. So
Totally, Jacob. You guys are on the nose. Yeah. So Jacob brought up the question, and then we just started getting into this conversation of like, how does that even happen? Like, how does a soul connect back to the vessel? Like, having this whole existential, like, where do we even go with this? So this is a tricky one. I might have to go with the first answer because that is the only realistic answer that there
left in space for 30 years, eh?
Yeah, you cannot be frozen and brought back. There's no way.
Well, I feel like the question itself demands some suspension of reality.
So I love that. I actually thought he was just fucking with you. So I love that there's actually some context behind. I thought maybe he was just bored and like, I'll just mess with her and send this one. I didn't actually expect some context. So I
this runs deep. You don't even understand day-long conversation.
And I'm sure you were all very sober too when you were talking.
Always.
Yes,
what do you mean?
Of course. Amazing. Our buddy YYZ Gord from Toronto had already asked. You already answered, but he just want to call him out. He said, "Were you already a fan or had previous knowledge of Letterkenny?" Which you were. So thank you, Gord, for that. Earlier question, Blair. Let's see if she hangs. Ask Blair if she hangs around the hockey scenes. We've heard that, and if so, which slut is the best on the ice? That's from our buddy Dennis in the UK.
Ooh, God, that's a good question. I have seen some of the hockey stuff. I haven't seen too much of it. Yeah, because when they have their hockey days, they're pretty long and they're pretty tiring. Go, go, go. So I try not to be too in the way when I'm off the clock. But when I am there,
and it's okay. You can throw them. They all threw each other under the bus.
Yeah, they all had different answers.
They didn't even miss a beat.
You know, they kind of just have all like different strengths. You know, so it's kind of like hard to say. But like, I would say the most fire I feel is from Dolo for sure. Right. Yeah, he gets a little crazy on the ice there. Or I would say Jordan had a pretty good scene going on. So.
I was gonna say, well, because Jordan, I mean, he's the only one with the hardware, right? He's the only one with the cup.
True. Yeah. No, that is true. That is a factor. But I mean, he brings it. So I would say, close to for sure.
Very good. I think a lot of them would default it to Jordan just because it could say like he's the only one with a cup. So
not fair enough.
Now, how do we know that he's the only one with a cup? I've got to ask. What?
It's the Stanley Cup.
A Stanley Cup. I'm thinking jocks.
Oh, you're so cute, Tan.
Know nothing about hockey other than I know they need a cup to play.
Tanya.
That's where my mind went.
Wait, did you mean a jockstrap?
Yes.
She thought it was a trick question.
How the hell do you know he has a cup on?
Awesome. I love this.
So never changed.
Man.
Tanya's more in the Kehlani camp. So that's and as you can see about hockey. Yeah. Amazing.
That's funny. Question answered.
Let's see here. Kehlani and Blair did a great job of pulling off the annoyed sister role with subtle huffs, eye rolls, and glances. Did that come naturally? Because it came across very believable. That's from our buddy Adrian in Maine.
Hey, Adrian, it was very natural. I would say it's very natural because so when I read the script, it's just funny because the way Jared chirps me particularly is exactly how my brothers chirp me. So it's like when he says it, I immediately just my internal just like tick, like I kind of just
he's triggering you, eh?
Yeah, like I feel like I'm fighting with my brothers.
Amazing.
Like there's no mercy. So when you see me kind of seething, it's because it's on. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's very natural.
And you guys are brutal to each other, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's so fun. And I like that they let Ziig make them have it, and I'm kind of one of the few that makes Jared cry a little bit. So it's nice.
So has Jared given you some great lines to go back at your brothers on now? Like when you do see them, do you have some good lines now?
Definitely. I definitely throw in some from the show. I kind of have some backhanded ones that they're kind of like, where'd you learn that? Like, you can't use that word, like they kind of just they're hockey bros and they're like, you can't do that. You're not part of the hockey bros. So it's funny. It's funny.
Our friend Cassie, she's from Simcoe, Ontario, and she would love to know if she's heard a lot of glowing praise about Indigenous representation on Shoresy. Can you speak to this experience? Can you speak to some of the Indigenous brands and clothing used and the importance of authenticity on that show?
Totally. Indigenous representation is so important, especially right now. I feel like there's a lot of beautiful risings coming. And I think especially with our crew and cast, we're really fortunate because everybody is so accepting and is so ready to have all of that inclusivity. And in regards to costume, to hair, to makeup, to crew themselves, it's shown through every single aspect. We do use a lot of Indigenous brands for the clothing and jewelry. We use the makeup in the hair and makeup trailers. We are very much connected to it all. Even the cast being at center ice for it is huge in itself, and showing us in the present day is huge as well. So there's a lot of really beautiful things around that kind of naturally just bring in that empowerment and inclusion. And it's so amazing to be a part of. It feels great to go to set every day and feel like you are a part of something that's bigger, better, and beautiful, know?
Well put. Still from Cassie, what message or advice do you want to give young Indigenous individuals who want to get into acting?
I would say follow your heart, follow your passion. It is doable. Whatever you set your mind to can come into fruition for you if you believe in yourself. And, taking the right steps towards it, figuring out how certain people that you love and admire got there and trying to adopt some of those things and make it work for yourself to move forward. I think that's really big. Keeping the right people around you and your head on where you want to go is the biggest battle. So as long as you have good people around you, a good heart, you're going to make it somewhere to where you want to go.
And I feel like there's never been a better time to be an Indigenous actor than right now in terms of all the different projects that are coming out, eh?
Totally. There are so many amazing writers, directors, producers coming into the picture right now. And if there is a time for you to want to do something, to try it, at least to see where you'll land, now is the time. You know, there's no time like the present. Time is not given. So you need to jump when you have the opportunities and it feels right. So I'd say dive in.
Yeah. Really, before we leave,
go ahead.
Before we leave that topic really quickly, from an inspiration standpoint, like growing up, were there individuals, whether actors, directors, musicians that you really drew inspiration from?
Great question.
That's a great question. I think I'm always inspired by just like a lot of moments. I would say, like, there's not people in particular that, you know, like, yes, okay, so wait, scratch that. There are people that I do look up to, okay, like, you know, they're typically more so musicians, but when it comes to acting, I feel like there's actors that just have brilliant moments and brilliant, you know, processes that I think are really intriguing, because at the end of the day, as an actor, like, you kind of are like evaluating what it's like to be a human and how to move forward with that and the connections that you make. And so, like, Toni Collette is a big one that I really, really love. I loved like The Mummy was a huge movie when I was a kid. Like, I wanted to do stuff like that, or Underworld, Lord of the Rings, like these like stories that maybe have a big suspension of disbelief, but are still very much connected to the heart. So it's just like things like that. And same with music. Like, I loved like Amy Lee, Evanescence, you know, Hayley Williams, Paramore. Like, there was like a lot of these like women, I would say also for myself, that were heavily influenced creatively. Of
course.
I see a bit of a pattern there. You love the women with the strong operatic voices, but surrounded by that heavy kind of industrial music.
Totally. They have something to say with meaning, and it's like, it's just very raw. Like, it just feels raw and real. And that's what I think is what drives me, is I'm always looking for that, like the genuine emotion, genuine people, the moments that feel like, that make you feel like infinite and connected. That's what matters.
I like that.
This is just a comment from Cassie. She said, can you please just thank her for her portrayal and empowerment of Indigenous women? It means a lot and so empowering and inspiring to myself and other Indigenous people. Representation is so important, and especially the importance of modernized representation. So she just wants to say thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. That actually warms my heart a lot. So I'm very appreciative that I'm here to be able to even do that, and, you know, be able to connect with people through this, and just show that, like, how I was shown when I was a kid, that like you can do what you want to do. You know, it's not far out of reach at all. People will try to tell you that, but it's not. So thank you. Cassie's
she's one of our listeners, and actually she's going to be doing, in a couple of weeks, she's going to be doing a special episode with us on the Indigenous actors that we've already interviewed. You're probably going to be part of that episode, so in case you want to listen to it, she's going to come on and talk about that, because it is something near and dear to her heart. It's for Indigenous Day, I think, coming up on the 17th. Is it June 17th?
Beautiful. Okay, I'm in. I'm there.
Our friend Erin from Chicago, she had a couple of questions. First one, what's the best advice you've ever received on set?
Ooh, that's a good one. What is the best advice I'd ever received on set?
It could be on Shoresy or any of the other sets you've been on.
I would say, okay, and I heard this from a friend when I was on Outlander, because like that was my first big one, and I was a little nervous. And you know, you could prep till the cows come home, but like you never know how it's gonna end up on the day. And I think with me, I'm somebody who's very much a bit of an overthinker, always kind of wants to try to like make sure everything's in place and organized. And you can't do that with film. That is so the opposite of this industry. And my friend told me, she's like, you know, you're here for a reason. You've already done all the hard part. You're in costume, like you're gonna go. You just have to believe that you can do it. You're here for a reason. They believe in you, so you need to believe in you and what you're doing. And it shocked me, because I was like, you're actually right. Everybody is working with me, not against me. We're all on the same team. So that was something that stuck really, really well.
That's great advice.
Yeah, you all want each other to exceed. Like
that's just it. Like we're always told, you know, there's not enough room and there's no space and it's all dog eat dog. And like to a point it is, but at the same time, we don't realize there's so much room at the table. There is so much room for absolutely everybody. And if we work together as opposed to against, it's so much easier and we will go so much farther. You know?
Second one from our friend Erin in Chicago. She's a teacher, so this one here is near and dear to her heart. What educators have inspired you the most?
What educators have inspired me the most? I would have to say actually an acting teacher, an acting coach that I had back in Toronto. His name is Louis Beaumander, and I studied under him for about like a year and a half. And he really opened me up to the fact that like it's okay to be emotional and to tap into these things that are constantly there, because your emotions are always within you. And you know that it is about the art of connection and genuinely feeling. And even though that's scary, it's a beautiful thing because you're healing and you're helping and you're sharing with a bunch of other people who might need it as well. So I would say he was definitely a big pivotal person in my acting career.
All right. Shout out. Tobias from Missouri asked, what would be, do you have a dream role? Is there a role you'd love to play?
A dream role. Yes.
Which horror character would it be?
And you know what's so funny? So like, yes, horror is exactly what I want to do. Like that would be just like the bread and butter. If I could be covered in blood and craziness all day, I would love that. But like genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I think if there was one role that I could like dream about playing, there's this movie called Princess Mononoke, and it's a Studio Ghibli anime movie, and it's about just protecting the earth and the battle between the earth and the humans and like the resources. And it's a beautiful story. I've loved it since I was a kid. I thought I was San. I was calling myself San for like ever. And I think that's something, if they were to do a live action, I need to get in there. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like that's something that I felt connected to since I was a kid.
Right.
And that would be epic. It would be just so epic. So that would be my goal.
Great choice. I mean, so what is that genre? Is that anime? Is that what we'd call that genre?
Yeah, it's technically anime.
I've probably only seen like 3 in my entire life, and that is one of them, and it is fantastic. So great selection there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was like so inspired by it as a kid. Like San, she's like the wolf princess. So she rides these like really huge white wolves in the movie. But then as a kid, me thinking I'm San, I'm starting to get on my neighbor's German Shepherd thinking that I can ride them, you know? And everybody's like, what's wrong with her? And I was like, method acting. We're getting into it, guys. Don't worry.
Amazing. I love that.
Also from Tobias, might you be interested in writing or directing one day?
That question is coming at a very funny time.
Oh,
yeah.
Something to share.
So I'm currently working on something. I'm currently, it's always been something that's been on my mind. Like I did songwriting when I was a kid. I took a directing course when I was in theater at my high school. Like it's kind of been in my face that I have the ability to create. I don't know how I wanted to do it. And recently I've found myself writing, like exploring all of that, because I've just been pulled by like a lot of stories that I've heard, personal experiences, music that's come into my life over the past year that really just brought in this thing, like this beautiful idea. And I've kind of just been just going through with that the past few months. I finished it in April while we were shooting Shoresy, actually. And, I'm kind of just dabbling in it. I'm having fun with it. I don't really know what that's about, but I just know when the inspiration hits, you just kind of got to run with it. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And it's been fun. And I do eventually want to direct. I think that is something that is very much on my goal board in this industry. And, I'm already writing. I didn't think I would ever write because I honestly don't have the patience to sit down and try to put my thoughts onto paper. It's very hard. But I didn't. The inspiration hit and it happened. So awesome. We're in the works. We're working there. We're getting there. Don't know where it's going to go, but nice. We're going.
Final question from our friend Awesome. First a comment, then a question. Blair, it was so lovely to meet you at Peddlers and talk about tattoos and books. What are you reading right now, and what's your favorite book you've ever read? So Awesome, our friend, she was one of the people who came up to Sudbury with us. She's also the moderator on Reddit, on the Letterkenny Reddit. Okay, so do you remember meeting her? Yeah.
I remember her. She had a stunning outfit that night. Like she caught my eye. Yeah,
that sounds like awesome.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Outside having a smoke, a whole chit chat. It was amazing. Yeah.
So she wants to know tattoos and books. What are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? That's a good question. I look over here because, well, if I have to be honest, the first thing I'm reading is like I have this like Life special edition on vampires and all the movies and the lore. So like that's kind of fun. But that's just like a personal interest.
I love there's a theme going on here.
Yeah.
Can you guys kind of get the vision of like who I am? Yeah. Okay. So that is something I'm doing. But I also have this right now that I'm reading. It's called Braiding Sweetgrass.
Oh,
and it just has to deal with just like indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge and teaching of plants, stories, things like that. Kind of keeping me grounded there. But my favorite book, that's kind of tricky because I have like two top contenders and they're both, you guys are going to laugh. They're both vampire books. And so one of them is called Marked. And it's like actually the series that came out in the early 2000s about actually a Cherokee indigenous girl that turns into a vampire. And she has to go to like a vampire academy and deals with like all the trials and tribulations of that. And it's coming of age, teeny bopper stuff. And then the other one is the best of all time. It's Twilight. Like,
God, really?
Yeah. Whoa. Calm down. Twilight slander is not accepted in this house. Okay? I just saw.
Shut up, Matt. Shut up.
Well, yeah, I just saw.
She's not going to come back now.
Oh, are you a hater? What do you mean? I know you're Team Edward. You look like you're Team Edward.
I mean, I'm not a big reader. I'm a movie buff. I tried to do the Twilight because nothing is off limits, and it's one of the few series I actually could not get through. I did the first movie. I'm like, I got into the second one, and I stopped, and that was it.
And fair enough. You know what? That's a valiant effort. I'll give it to you. You know, like the fact that you tried.
Yeah, in all fairness, everyone always says the book is better than the movie. So I've never tried the book, so I won't hate on it. I'm just hating on what I have seen and endured.
Fair enough. I mean, I could not disagree more, but I hear ya.
Matt already disqualified himself when he said he's not a reader, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Second thing from Awesome, she wants to know if you would do an AMA on Reddit. She's a moderator. She can set you up. You know what those are? The Ask Me Anything?
Ask Me Anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That could be fun.
I will connect you two tomorrow on email, and she can get that set up. That's great.
Cool.
So I think the only things left here, Matt, is for your question, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, so I know we're getting to wrap up here. So first off, Blair, thank you so much for coming out. This was amazing. We're so excited to have you guys on the show, and you did not disappoint. We'll get beyond the Twilight difference. I can look past it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll turn my cheek. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But my question is always, and again, feel free to interpret this or answer in any way that makes sense to you. But I mean, we celebrating Letterkenny and now Shoresy and everything. We love these shows, but we see it as a lot more. Right? There's a lot more going on than just banter humor. From your perspective, what has it meant to you to be part of Shoresy?
It's about teamwork. It's about family for me. Like I feel like for me going into my head into the show, I was already connected to like it in a family way. Right. Because like my dad and my brother watched it and it was something that we all did together. But then like coming into this world and seeing how much the crew and the cast and everybody just genuinely connected made it just feel exponentially better and not like work. And that kind of mirrors also the team, you know, like the team, we are a family, we're a unit, we all work together, you know, like we have each other's backs, and it really mirrors that in real life too. And I think that's the biggest thing that I love about it is it genuinely feels like a family. We've created something really cool.
Well put.
Yeah,
amazing.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on Shoresy, and we can't wait to see what's coming next.
Yes, we can't wait for season 2.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
I have to ask the question. So you love, you know, the horror stuff and stuff. Do you celebrate Halloween? And if so, what's your best costume?
Your go-to costume.
I do celebrate Halloween. I'm a big Halloween girl.
I get that vibe from you. Yeah. I get that.
Because you just a little. Yeah. My favorite, and this one is going to be funny, but so there's a movie called Jennifer's Body with Megan Fox.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite movies, go-to comfort movies. And so I dressed up one year as Jennifer Check when she had just been sacrificed, I guess. So when she's at Amanda Seyfried's house and you see her covered in blood and the jacket's all ripped up and it's just like feathers everywhere and gore, that was my favorite, hands down, because like I just looked insane and it was great. I loved every moment of it. Anytime I could be covered in blood.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
There's a pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern. Blair, do you have anything you want to promote or bring attention to before we finish up?
I would like to say go stream High Yourself by Joe Dolo.
Oh, we're going to get to that. Oh, yes.
If you want clear skin, if you want abundance, you'll do that. So that's what I'm saying.
Excellent. And where can people follow you on the socials?
On socials, I'm under Blair Lamora on Twitter and on Instagram.
Excellent.
So find me there.
Thank you so much. And funny you bring that up because I did reach out to you and I asked you, what song would you like me to play us out to today? And you're the team player. You picked
Here we go.
Higher Self by Joe Dolo.
Here we go.
Such a sick tune.
I just also want to say, Blair, thank you so much for coming out. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I know all of our female listeners, we're so excited to have the girls come out and share their stories with us. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was such a fun time. And I can't wait for you guys to get into
Absolutely. Next time you're in town, let us know.
Definitely, yes. We'll go grab a drink. We'll do something. Okay, alrighty.
And that's all we have for this episode. Don't forget you can use the promo code ProduceStand for 20% off any purchase at diabolicalcoffee.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, rate us on iTunes, Spotify, or become a patron. You can also follow us on social media at ProduceStandPod. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of Blair, Tanya, Matt, and myself, thank you for listening and have a great week.
And streets don't love nobody, but they hold my bro accountable. Black on black crime got me thinking, are we cannibal? I'm confident, not cocky, but I'm focused on the Adderall. You giving all your soul to social media, that shit critical. Different cloth, so my people probably make you uncomfortable.